Welcome back to ATMC TV with Matt and Ben. With us, we're really fortunate to have Mike Hetzler. Welcome to ATMC, mate.
Thank you, sir, very much. Honored to be here.
Absolutely, and it's our honour to have you here. We've been hoping to get you here for years. You've been on our speaker list trying to get you for a long time, and it's an absolute privilege to have your experience and your knowledge here transferred across to our ATMA members and everyone else who's here. And we're hoping that we're going to just ask you a couple of questions that will help get some of those lessons, particularly from your recent experience in the Ukraine, out to the community. So one that I just wanted to throw to you now was, I got the feeling from your talk that this is almost like an insight into the potential future of certainly unconventional warfare, but probably medical provision for all warfare in the setting of peer and near-peer conflict in the future. Is that what it felt like when you're over in Ukraine?
Yeah, most definitely. I think the biggest difference was the stark changes from post 9/11, Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria, to what the future holds for us. And whether that's in a soft perspective or whether that's in a conventional perspective, medical or operational, significantly different than what we're used to in the past. And we're going to have to make some changes, both culturally and within capabilities for the future.
Yep. Absolutely.
And one of the big things I took away from the talk was that you mentioned warfare moving from a hammer response to more of a polishing cloth. And I love that you spoke about capabilities being humility and compassion to be able to support those life-saving efforts. Now, in a situation where, as discussed in the remote space, where people they're stretched as individuals, psychologically, emotionally, physically, and they're under-resourced, what are some pieces of advice that you would give tactical medics and remote medics to start preparing themselves for operating in those kind of spaces?
Right. I think some of the first changes probably needs to come from leadership. Developing of this next generation to appreciate that the hammer doesn't always work. Right. A handshake can be far more effective and far more productive sometimes. My dad used to say that all the time. But also from the individual perspective, I think a lot more patience, a lot more understanding, a lot more compassion, and a lot more perspective from the victim will be important for our future. Just like we mentioned before, we're used to solving problems with a hammer, and we need to do it with a little bit of a polishing cloth in the future, because that's going to make us more money in a far cheaper way of doing it.
And I love it because when you lent on that sort of point, and you could really see the aha moment in the room, because it speaks to what ATMA is all about, the networking, the building of the relationships. And then when you find a novel problem, like we're meeting today, you reach out and say, hey, I found this problem, and you spoke at the conference about how you solved it. Could you teach me what you learned so I don't learn those same lessons again?
Yes, sir. Yeah. As a graybeard, it's our job to make sure next generation doesn't make the same mistakes.
Yeah, it's truly awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thanks for catching up, and thanks for watching, team.